525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, and laughter, in strife.
When did you hear that Rent was first canceled?
I heard it the afternoon that it actually got canceled at the thespian meeting because I saw one of my play friends at a bison practice competition.
What was your first reaction to Rent being canceled?
I was really surprised because I'd never heard of a high school musical being canceled in our area, and I was really excited to see it, so I was a little disappointed too.
Do you believe Rent contains the controversial topics that Mr. Garino says it does?
Yeah, I've seen the movie, and it does contain the controversial topics that he was afraid of, but I don't believe that there's something to be afraid of because it is the school edition, and these problems and ideas exist in our society today, so there's nothing to be afraid of.
What was your role in protesting Rent?
I was actually disappointed, so I tweeted about it, and I also signed the petition and liked the Facebook group, and I provided moral support for all my play friends.
So how do you feel that the Trumbull High students handled this whole situation?
I think that they were really mature in organizing their efforts rather than going all crazy and being upset and not doing anything about it, because they were able to create a Facebook page and make petitions, and they got the word out really well.
As a Trumbull High student, how did you support the Rent debate?
Well, I know in like a bunch of my classes, especially my Bison class, we would all like talk about how Rent should have been on, and it's like kind of not fair that they're like censoring us. I also talked about it with like my family, and we all were like arguing on how it should have been part of the school. So we're all pretty happy that it's going to be up again.
As a student who grew up in like the modern day society, did you feel any offense towards Garino rejecting the production of Rent initially?
Absolutely. Due to the fact that students live daily lives with all of the controversies that are in Rent, by denying the production of Rent, you are denying the fact that students are going through these things and that it's okay to go through all these things.
Do you think that students who might be going through these things have any like hurt feelings towards it?
I have to say so, due to the fact that most of the people that did sign the petitions, they knew people going through these things and they signed it because of the fact that their friends do go through it and that it is okay, the student body feels that it is okay, and through those petitions they told their friends that they support it and they're okay with talking about these things, and by Garino rejecting it, it doesn't mean that the student body rejects it.
Have you gone to the previous plays in the past?
I've gone to pretty much every one of them for like 8 years because my sister used to be in it, so then I got really into it.
Do you think that compared to past years there will be more of an audience this year because of how controversial the Rent topic has been and how it's spread?
I think at first when it wasn't as public as it was before, we would have gotten less people because I used to go with like my little cousins, and I don't know if they'd want to go to a play that's so controversial. But now that it's gotten so public and people want to support our students and people in the play, that there will be a lot more attendance than a normal play.
What was your reaction to the debate over Rent?
The reaction to the debate over Rent was that I know it contained a lot of controversial issues such as homosexuality, drug abuse, and HIV issues, but I feel that we should not suppress these issues in our modern day society. I feel that we should make them more aware into our society, and especially with states proposing and making it legal for gay marriages, and these global media society websites and all of that we're exposed to, such as Facebook, Twitter, and all these other social media sites. We should be making it more aware versus suppressing it.
So as a mother, you have a 7th grade child you mentioned. Would you take him to see Rent?
Yes, I would definitely take my son to see Rent because I feel that it would be good exposure for him, and I tend to not keep issues that are out there on the news and suppress them, but rather try to expose them as much as I can to our modern day society as we keep getting more and more exposed with all these social media sites. It's inevitable that we cannot suppress it. So why do that? Why not make him aware? It's a form of teaching.
Why do you think our society rejects such controversial issues?
I think what we have to keep in mind is that we come from a state and we come from a town that is not always uniform in their views. So our culture here in the United States, in Connecticut, in Trumbull, is ever changing. The media, technology, it plays a role in that changing viewpoint. I think that there are plenty of those which we saw through media, people in Trumbull that are willing to look at progressive views on ideas such as homosexuality and AIDS and poverty especially. But we also have a faction of people within the state as well as the town as well as the country that are uncomfortable with these new kind of components of culture that we're just getting to really see come forward in the mainstream culture. So I think it's very uncomfortable or unsettling for some people to realize that at this point, teenagers and people, your age, citizens your age, are becoming more comfortable with issues or, cultural components such as homosexuality. Although your government has taken a positive view of it, your media, your mainstream media has obviously taken a positive view towards it. And here, especially at Trumbull High, we like to teach, that we are all different and it's okay to be different, and cultural variation is a wonderful thing, but it can be very very nerve-wracking, especially for administration and for other people in the town to kind of take changing culture and accept it and be willing to move forward with it. But I think the students did a great job to prove that this is where we're at with the culture, and this is where your views fall, and it's time to bring it to the forefront here in Trumbull. Mr. Farina was in a very, very tough position. I'm proud of what was accomplished by the students. I was proud of the decisions that he eventually made. I think that there are a lot of different components that you have to keep in mind. Bullying. You have to keep in mind of the ramifications of a play like this and what it could mean for the town and for the school itself. But all in all, I think it shows the changing culture, and it shows how great as students you are at getting your voices heard in a positive and appropriate and respectful way. So it's great to see that you're learning on many different levels here at Trumbull High School.
With our eyes wide open, we'll fight till broken. One breath in this moment, we'll stay till we're chosen, and through it all, with our eyes wide open.
So Emily, you attended many of the Board of Ed meetings. Can you explain your experience?
Yeah, a lot of the thespians, we heard that parents in the community were going to be coming to the Board of Education meetings. So we thought that we would need a voice for the students there and members of the Thespian Society, so I went. And it was very interesting to see how the Board of Education worked, how public opinion worked, because I've never been to a Board of Education meeting before. And it was also amazing to see the support that came out for the cause of Rent, the school edition, and seeing all the parents that would speak up during public opinion. And I got to speak once. It was just a very cool experience to see how that worked.
So how's the Board of Ed, or like the administration's attitude towards Rent and towards you guys when you would go up and represent your opinions?
Well, this year, for the first time ever, as I've learned, they limited public opinion to 30 minutes and 2 minutes per speaker, which they've never done before. So we found that very interesting, especially in the first Board of Education meeting, the first time that rent was being brought up, that's when they enacted it. The board is really unresponsive. They can't really respond or communicate with anyone as you're speaking. And so it's kind of like trying to get like a wall to feel because they're not really allowed to. And it was interesting seeing how it worked, and it was interesting how public opinion was limited. And overall, it was kind of difficult to see if our message was coming across. And thankfully, it ended up coming across, and they ended up seeing our way in the end.
So how did you guys use social media to your advantage? Because that's how everyone heard about it, and that's how it spread to like New York Times and Washington Post. So can you explain that?
It definitely started on Twitter. I remember right after the thespian meeting where we found out that it was canceled, everyone just went on Twitter and was kind of venting their feelings about it, and the whole Justice for Rent thing started, which I had been in our school before with Justice for Yogurt Club and Justice for Canal, but I think that mentality from those two actually helped with Justice for Rent because everyone was familiar with the whole like tweeting for that. And then Larissa made the Facebook page, which that really helped spread support because we just had so many different ways to interact with the cause that it just spread like wildfire, and people in the theater community were sharing it with their friends and ended up getting to New York, and like a lot of people in the theater community know about the production now, and that's how it got to the Times. And you know, once the Times picks it up, you get picked up by everything else. And I think our first news outlet was actually like a local channel in Hartford, and that after that kind of just kept spreading.
So now that Rent is going on the original date, how do you feel? Are you proud? Like, name some of your accomplishments. Like, are you guys proud of each other?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're all so proud of Larissa because she's really just been such a strong leader throughout all of this. We're really proud of the administration for coming to this decision and for actually listening to us. Even though it took a while to get here, in the end they did listen, and everyone that participated made a difference by sharing their voice, which I think is an amazing thing.
All right, thank you, Emily. Can you tell me your thoughts on Rent?
I'm just really proud of the community. Although Larissa and the Thespian Society led the fight, the community really backed us up, and we got so many Facebook posts and tweets from people that don't even live in the state giving us their support. Some celebrities even tweeted us, which was really cool, I think. And it just made me a really proud citizen of Trumbull and a student at THS.
So how did you feel when New York Times published an article about Rent?
I just thought it was really cool because we got lots of local news like the Patch and Trumbull Times. But when you get the New York Times to write an article about us, it becomes something so much bigger, and then other stories started to pick up about us because of the New York Times, which is just so cool.
Does this make you look at Mr. Garino differently?
Yes and no. Yes, because yeah, his decision did shock everyone and people totally fought against him, but at the same time, although the decision was his, he had lots of doubts about how it could be portrayed, and I understand where he was coming from. I just think he went about it a negative way.
Okay, thank you.
How did you find out about the cancellation of Rent?
On November 28th, there was a Thespians meeting that was actually the planned meeting for the Rent auditions for this year. But we got there, and Mrs. Blaine told us that Rent would not be going on, and Mr. Greener would be coming in to explain some of it. And he did a little while later, and the meeting lasted about 2 hours long. I left around 5 o'clock. And the entire meeting was it was one of the most horrific afternoons of my life. Everyone was crying, like some people heaving, and people spoke up that you wouldn't really think would, that I didn't think would. People really spoke their minds. It was pretty traumatic, actually.
Why do you support the production of Rent?
I support Rent because I am an actor, I am a performer, and this is what I do with my life, and this is what I want to do with my life. And not only that theater is just so important to me, but also Rent is very important to me. I feel like I can connect with it a lot. I feel like I can connect with a lot of the characters, and I think that is what makes a good show, when you can actually feel for a lot of the characters. It's one of my favorite shows. And when I found out about Rent in August, I started training then for my audition. So I have been training for 4 or 5 months now for this audition, and then to just get it ripped away from me, I fought hard, and I really care deeply about this production.
How do you think social media was a role in this situation?
Social media was a huge role in this. That's how we got the word out to a lot of Broadway actors, a lot of working professionals, a lot of really top-line bloggers. People in London have gotten this story. The New York Times and the Washington Post have also written about us, and that was all through social media. Our Facebook page now has over 7,000 likes in 2 weeks. So social media was definitely our main source of getting the word out there, which is very important to us.
When did you hear that Rent was first canceled?
Do you think that like the uneasy feeling that like the that might have like kind of like the town might have given off the vibe of, do you think that was like part of the reason why Mr. Greenbelt first like denied it, like when it was first introduced?
Oh.
No, are you okay? Yeah. This stage is where most Trumbull High students. Can you tell me your thoughts on Rent?
I'm just like really proud of the community on this one.
Reaction.
How are you in support of the cancellation of Rent?
Well, I immediately after the meeting, I participated in the Justice for Rent hashtags. I put out. Wait, can I start that over? Sorry. I forgot
Even
what I
like
was
the
trying to
way
say.
I like asked it was weird. So how did you support the movement on the cancellation of Rent?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
Okay.
To support.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it still filming?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Bloopers. Actually, no, not anymore. If you can like cut my voice out. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
Yeah. How did you support the cancellation of Rent? Crap. I'm not supporting it. It's against it.
How do you support?
I can't do it. Can you do it?
Okay, guys.
Wait, but then it looks weird because
Yeah,
we were in
now
the
it's two
first
different
one.
people.
Yeah, no, we can't do this.
Okay.
We can do this.
How did you support?
What did you do to support?
Okay, what did you do
Yeah.
to support the movement against cancellation of Rent?
Okay. Yes.
What
So
did you do? Is it still filming?
Just wait. Just say how did you support the movement for Rent?
For Rent? Okay.
Yeah.
How did you support the movement for Rent?
Asking.